Hi guys, my name is Joe Gannon and welcome to my YouTube channel where I help you to maximize your LinkedIn content. So I'd like to now summarize for you what I think is the best LinkedIn hashtag strategy right now. LinkedIn's so good right now for organic reach, which means your content can go really far, and it's basically a platform right now which is like a free-for-all. You know, this is really different to other platforms where, like Instagram, for example, generates so much revenue from ads being shown to people who are just in the habit now of using the app every single day. LinkedIn isn't there yet. It's still an up-and-coming platform for content, and this is why the hashtag strategy is going to change. As recommended by LinkedIn, you should be using 3 hashtags on your pieces of content. You should be using LinkedIn Search as a tool to identify hashtag frequency, which basically means you should be using LinkedIn Search to see how many people are searching different hashtags. You can identify what hashtags to use. You should be placing your hashtags at the end of content to maintain professionalism, which is where LinkedIn is slightly different to other platforms. You should be going big and broad right now with your hashtags. Like I said, this is most likely going to change in the future because, for example, on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook, it can actually be favorable to have a niche hashtag. So to find and locate hashtags that not many people are using but are relevant for your target audience and what your target audience is searching. As only 1 to 2% of people create content on LinkedIn, there's just not enough content in comparison to other platforms. So this is why right now it is more fruitful to use big and broad hashtags that you know people are searching for. There's also benefits to thinking about what hashtags you're using as a way to kind of signpost what your content themes are. What I mean is for example, the hashtags I like to use are social media, productivity, psychology, because there are kind of my content themes which really incorporate the majority of the content I create. By seeing those hashtags at the end of my posts on almost every single post, that's almost like a signpost. Because if you then ask somebody what types of content I create, they will subconsciously and consciously remember seeing those words. A really great example of this is using something like hashtag keynote speaker. Because if you did a bit of content and someone read that hashtag at the end, chances are they're going to know and put 2 and 2 together that you are a keynote speaker. So this is one way to use hashtags to really spell out what it is you do to your target audience, and they have to know what you do, because you can't expect to sell a product or a service to somebody if they're not sure that they need it and they're not sure that they need it from you and they can actually get it from you. So broad hashtags or niche hashtags, what should you use in your content? So like we said, using 3 hashtags is the best suggestion by LinkedIn. Yes, you can use more, and yes, your content does rank if you do use more. For example, if you use 5 hashtags, your content will appear for those hashtags. So I know it might sound as counterintuitive advice, but LinkedIn say best practice is to use 3 hashtags. So I do recommend that we do what they say. They're literally telling us with that nugget of information, this is what we're looking for. And if your content can be favored to the algorithm, it's going to be shown to more people. I'd recommend you go bigger and you go bolder. So I would be using hashtag social media, content marketing, productivity, marketing, digital marketing, video marketing, videography, for example. I would be using these bigger terms. That in terms of competition, hashtags aren't saturated yet on LinkedIn as they are on Instagram. We don't really need to get too technical about using them right now, and it's better you go bigger. So for example, on LinkedIn, let's take personal branding video tips as a hashtag. That's ultra niche. So if you're a video agency and you help people with their personal brand, that you would say that anyone who follows this hashtag is definitely your target audience. But as you can see, it's just not worth searching because not enough people are creating content on LinkedIn yet or using it as a platform to search for content. So it really is about competition and search volume. The sweet spot is to be using a hashtag that has high search volume and low competition. And in contrast, if a hashtag had really high competition, so a lot of people were using it, but not many people were searching for it, had low search volume, then it's not really useful to use. So when you do create content, LinkedIn do suggest hashtags to you. Sometimes it's a good suggestion, other times it's not. So what I would do is always just double check the hashtags you're using, look through the feed and just get a general feel about whether it's a useful hashtag to use. If you use something like Shield Analytics, it tracks all the hashtags you've used. So for example, you can see what your best performing posts and what your worst performing posts are and see if there's any trends with the hashtags that you use. So as I said, for your strategy right now, the best hashtag strategy is to use 3 hashtags. So for me, for example, if you've got 3 hashtags, I like to go for 2 big hitters, so 2 broad hashtags and 1 more niche hashtag or 1 more personal hashtag. For me, I do think balance is best. And as I said, I don't really want to give you guys kind of cookie cutter advice. I do really recommend you test things for yourself. Look at what hashtags have good competition, what hashtags perhaps don't. So my content's moving more towards like LinkedIn marketing, helping you maximize your LinkedIn content. So for example, I'm starting to use LinkedIn training as a hashtag because anyone following that hashtag or anyone seeing that I use that hashtag will know that I offer LinkedIn training. So that's more of a niche hashtag. For example, using LinkedIn would be the broader, the big daddy, the granddad hashtag for that term. Then I like to use hashtags like productivity. Now, productivity on Instagram, for example, is a really competitive, high volume hashtag, which I would never use. And then depending what the content was about, I might use hashtag social media if it's relevant to social media strategy and like advice, or I might use psychology. So like you might have just noticed there, I'm not using social media advice as a hashtag, social media tips, because those terms are just far too niche on LinkedIn right now. Like I said as well, you can be using your hashtags in a smart way to really signpost what you do. So you might be thinking, I'm not really seeing a benefit from using hashtags right now. I'm using them, I'm following this advice, but I don't really see any increase in engagement. If this is the case, you should still be using hashtags, but you can use them in more of a smart way. So like I said, if you're a keynote speaker, use hashtag keynote speaker, or do use niche hashtags, but not because people are looking for that content, but more of a way for people to understand purely what you do. If you are interested about learning about how to identify content themes, and perhaps you want help with creating and developing your personal brand, do let me know guys in the comments, because I can create lots of content about this. So I've been going through the processes of building my own personal brand, using things like color palettes, identifying content themes, so what it is I'm going to talk about, and that can really help your strategy and really help you come up with more ideas.